Hello class. This will be the last video for the elevations for this assignment, and that's just setting up the layouts for these. And we want to do the same thing that we did when we did the second floor. We want to set up new tabs for both of these elevations. Each elevation will be on its own sheet. We want to make sure that we can always go back to it when needed. So I'm just going to click on the second floor one because that's the one we have here already started, and I'm going to right click over top of this tab and say move copy. And I'm going to say create copy, and I'm going to select an 11 by 17 portrait so it goes above that one and just say OK. We can see we got a second one here. Now I want to make sure that I'm on the new one I just created, so I have to make sure I click on it. And I'm going to right click over top of it and say rename, and I'm going to call it South Elevation or something like South L just for short, so I know I don't use up too much space. And just like before, I have to double click inside this viewport to activate it. I'm just going to zoom out with my scroll wheel to find where my elevations are. My south elevation is here. We want to make sure we set our scale correctly, so I'm going to come down here because I zoomed out, so the zoom is really your scale, so I've changed it. So I want to go back and set it to 3/16 of an inch. Oh, I was pretty close on that guy there. But now it says 3/16 of an inch. I know I'm good. I might just pan just a little bit to make sure that I've got this nice and centered or pretty close to centered. After panning, always make sure your scale is set, and double click outside just to set the viewport and come out here. And of course, a few changes we have to make out here. We have to change the name. I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can maybe read it a little better and call it, with my caps locks on, South Elevation. Spell it out fully here. Your name should already be there. The scale should be set. Change the due date to whatever it actually is due. Make sure your CRN is correct, and we make sure the number is correct. And we're going to actually make this one a 2.2. Usually elevations we change the first number. I'm sorry, we're going to go 2.1 for this one because its elevations are in the second series. So we start with 200, and then this is the first of that series, so it's 2.1. Quite often plans are 100 series or 1 series, and elevations are 200 or 2 series. So that's the first one there. So this one's good to go. And I'm going to do the exact same thing for the second one. So I'm going to right click over South Elevation, go move copy, move to end. Oh, no, not move to end, 11 by 17 portrait, which I could just delete because we don't need it. But I'll keep it in. Click on it, hit create copy, and say OK. I got a second copy. Make sure you click on the second copy, even though it's hard to tell anything will happen. Right click, rename it, and go East Elevation. Click outside and double click inside the viewport to activate it. I'm going to go pan, and if I hold shift on my keyboard, I can make sure I do it I'm going to go exactly straight across, so it's the same vertical height. It doesn't have to be, but it's nice when that's the case. So I panned right over to see this drawing. If you have to do it some other way, it's fine. Just again, make sure when you're done zooming and panning around that it still says 3/16 inch to scale. Double click outside the viewport to deactivate it. And then a few last changes, things we need to make over here. We have to change it from south to east elevation. And everything else should be the same in this zone. The only thing we need to do up here is a 2.2. And with that, this drawing is done. I'm going to save it, and you're going to go ahead and print it out for class for being reviewed. So, good job finishing these two elevations, a completely different drawing type than plan. I believe the next assignment is probably going to be building section, which is always a fun one, so I'll see you for that set of videos.